I
Hey
will
everyone.
say, hey everyone. Sorry, Cindy. Start again.
Hey everyone, this is Cindy. Well, that's what they call me anyway. It's December 26th, according to the um, computer at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is the 75-minute window that we currently spend time with the guides. Reading Resurrection together, facilitated by Sandra and Amy. And as is our habit, I have a clip ready to go of the guides. So let's see what they have to say. Man, it's good to be here with you. All right, here we go.
Everything that has been claimed in form holds a level of density that you are in accord with. The energy that makes the chair is indeed in and of itself not dense. When the chair is moved to its essence, the very thought of chair from the energy that created chair, how the chair may be known beyond even the name chair or old usage can be other. To allow for the other is to be in benefit with what the other would show as. And this means the best that you can imagine is from the old litany of choice or the old ideas you have utilized to claim form. Imagine, if you wish, that there are ways of knowing things in agreement to form that lack the density that you have known. Imagine that the elasticity of the environment that you operate in once in the upper room becomes in ways apparent to you, which simply means that what you thought was solid is less solid than you thought, inclusive of your experience of self and others. Now, the realization is that you are simply becoming who you are at an altered level of vibrational tone. And this is actually done presently now, regardless of what you see. You must understand that when we perceive you, we do not see you in the density that you have accrued. We see you first and foremost as the energy that you are comprised of, and that energy is source in a refined state, come in an individuated way with the idea of soul and monad fully present. This does not mean we don't think that you have limbs, arms, and legs and are not moving across the earth. We do understand the properties of the body, but we also understand that while you are operating in the body, there are other aspects of self that are operating in a higher field. As you are translated, shifted, or transposed to what we call the upper room, the expression of the body is altered, the expression of the senses is altered, refined, and you become in benefit of what expresses at this level. Now imagine you walk into a movie theater and you assume that the old film will be playing, and you take your seat and you watch what's upon the screen and you recognize everything that you see by the old way that it has been. But in every way, in fact, you are seeing a movie that was filmed in the dense field of the dense field, and that is your level of expectation. This does not mean that there is a higher level of exchange or another film perhaps being broadcast in simultaneity. If you understood that while you perceive a face and a mouth speaking, and while you perceive fingers and toes, and you see a seascape perhaps behind the person sitting there, you may also understand that there are other things that are operating that are unseen. There are energy bodies, subtle bodies. There is the idea of the soul and the monad. There is the color that is not seen in the spectrum that the human eyes have availed themselves to. There are many things to be recognized and known, but because you enter into this theater and watch this film in the common field, the real that is prepared for you must hold the semblance of what you've known. As one becomes accustomed to the upper room and manifestation as it expresses here, the first thing one may begin to see is that manifestation will appear to be somewhat other. And we will say somewhat intentionally. That green is slightly different than I have seen the color green. That light is slightly altered, and then that woman looks slightly different than I thought she appeared as. And consequently, you are moving to an agreement that things can be other. Again, possibility. As long as you are seeking to reinforce what you have seen, the old movie, you are fairly well granted to see it. Nobody will rip the film from the projector and force you to sit and face the new. But as you begin to realize that the movie that you are watching is already slightly altered and somewhat different, that the idea of who you are within this film is also slightly different, that the sense of tone or vibration that you experience with the senses is slightly more present and perhaps in differing ways than you have thought could be, you are claiming the potential for the more that is seeking to be revealed. Once in the upper room at a level of alignment, one begins to claim a level of expression, how you serve, which is in tone. First and foremost, in tone. While the personality structure holds a place here, it is not the primary place. It is the aspect of self that knows what she prefers in some ways, knows or understands the dance that humanity plays in the lower field, but also can serve as bridge between two ways of being in expression. You can be in expression in the upper room, maintain an idea of personality, or in other ways said, a sense of self, still confirming the manifest plane. My name is Paul, my name is Alice, my name is Friedrich. These are the ways I know myself, the names I have gone by. You can also understand that the aspect of you that has no name has never known a name, because the I am self, the true nature of being and presence, is what is expressing, is operating in simultaneity and as well. You are not being asked to forget your lineage in order to know who you are. You are being invited to re-see your lineage, including the familial histories that you have carried, or the ideas of collective accord to what has been, what should be, or what you would expect to see. When the potential for peace becomes present in this field in a way it has not known itself thus far, you begin to appreciate the potential that is asking to be known as and through you.
Hi, Amy. I don't know if you realize we're on chapter 3 now.
I didn't. I was going to ask what page we were on.
It's on page 85.
Got it. Are we right at the top?
Yes, we didn't start chapter 3.
Okay. Is there anyone who wants to read today? Cindy? I will read too.
I'll read.
Okay.
Lonnie put her hand up, and Patricia.
Lonnie and Patricia. All right, we're good. We're good until we'll see what happens. And Rana put her hand up too.
Okay, move me to the end of the line then.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, welcome everybody. It's good to see you all. I hope you all had a lovely Christmas day. In some ways, it's just another day, but we make it what it is, right? So it's good to have everybody back here. I always kind of think about when we've been away, I look forward to coming back and seeing everybody. It's just my grounding spot. And I feel so lucky to have it. So does anybody have any thoughts about the video, or anybody have anything that they want to share before we get started? Cindy does.
Just because it happened. And when I was writing this morning in my contemplation, um, in the Kabbalah teaching, one of the things he teaches is that what we're doing every time we practice certainty, knowing that the truth is true, my words, what we do is shift to another movie. He talks about how we can never really change the character, like the script is already written in the movie you're playing, but it's like going into a Cineplex with 1,000 movies, and every time you're willing to sit through and trust the truth more than the fear, what you're doing is jumping into higher and higher vibrational movies. And I just pointed to that in my writing this morning. I also pointed to Lisa Natoli's 40-day program when she taught going vertical, right? You could go vertical and skip a whole bunch of what would have been in your timeline if you stay in this um she doesn't I like this word certainty now, but if you stay in this kind of resting, trusting space. And I don't pre-screen the clips that I play. And so I just wanted to highlight for myself that I wrote about it in my writing this morning, and then the guide spoke about it in the clip, and I am paying attention. So, but I love this idea that everything is in God, and like there's these multiple fields. Like they talk about the common field, they talk about the upper room, but I'm almost seeing like these layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of all these different fields. And every time I practice certainty, I just hop to a new frequency. So that's what I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Lonnie, you're up next.
Morning, everybody. I liked when you talked about seeing different. That was that's been something I've been walking with the guides for a long time. And so hearing him say that was great for me. I come from this medical family, all nurses and doctors and shit like that do stuff like that. And so when something is different, we were kind of taught, well, what's wrong with it?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of humans, when something feels different, they go to what's wrong versus what's going on. And I think that that's ultimately what led me to abandon Western medicine, because the only thing they would look for was what was wrong with me. But they couldn't tell me what was going on in my system that was making it feel the way that it was physically. So that invitation to not jump to what's wrong because it's different, but to go into curiosity about the difference. I love that.
Thank you, Lonnie. Sandra.
Yes, I really love that too, Lonnie. When the guys were saying that as we move, everything is slightly altered, kept saying that slightly altered so that we will be able to take it in. The message that came through for me was a reinforcement that I need to be open to all possibilities, to not have all the structures that are in my brain or in my mind filter out what the potentiality is. And it isn't really a matter of seeing it as right or wrong, but seeing things newly for me. It's seeing them with a wider, more porous, less dense, more porous perspective. And it's exciting. It's not just like, oh, I have to go with trepidation into the new. No, it's exciting, and I can welcome this potential for seeing everything differently. And when we get glimpses of it, it's reinforced as something that is welcomed, more than welcomed. It's something that was always there and it's home. It's more like home. So
Thank you.
thanks for the clip, Cindy. I love these.
Anybody else? I see a lot of people agreeing with what Lonnie said. Yeah. I have to agree as well. I notice sometimes, and maybe it's what Sandra said, seeing anew, but it's almost like things seem more real, but in a beautiful way. You know, and it's hard to explain. As Paul said, it can be very subtle, but I notice it. I just notice, wow, that just seems, the color seems richer, or the contrast between, it just seems more clear. It's hard to describe. I'm sure everyone has their own experience, right? William.
I just had this sensation now that I was reading this morning, lesson 78. The only problem is separation. And so I see the darkness when I close my eyes, the physical eyes, it's all one in a sense. Imagining I close the hearing as well. And it's almost like, yes, I've been so used to the light that I've been shining that everything looks so separate. And when I turn off the light, it's all dark, black, unknown, unknown. So it's like, wow, there's no separate. I don't see it with my physical eyes. So in a way, that's this sense of it's all one. There's no separation. So it's almost like having to give up, let go of what my senses say, go into the darkness, and then let the darkness become light. It's just kind of the reverse. And I don't know. It's like I just see the potential. So that's where I'm at. Thank you.
That's lovely. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Well described. All right, Cindy, you're up to read. We're on page 85, chapter 3, reconciliation.
Reconciliation. When you stand in your own way, when you confound your own possibilities to ascend to the higher dimensional reality that is indeed the upper room, you claim a history of lack and neglect. You confirm the ideas of separation that you have been grown by and with throughout time. Your aspirations now, if we would call them that, would be towards a realization of self beyond the known or the schemata that you have known yourself through. The escalation of vibration on this plane is what makes this so, and your amplitude is participatory to the amplitude of this plane lifting for one and all. As each of you says yes, as each of you aligns to the higher, in fact, you are contributing to the higher. And the echo of your choice, yes, 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 is confounding lack, confounding separation, which would seek to have its will through you. And all I'd like to say is yes.
He uses that word schemata a lot, and I'm going to look it up because it's an interesting word. Mel sent me a Helen Hamilton video after our discussion yesterday, and I've watched about half of it. It's really good. I'll send it to Cindy, and she can do what she wants with it. But in the video, Helen talks about the fruit ripening, and each of us is a fruit ripening, and we're going to fall from the tree to the ground, where we become one with the ground. But the fruit can't ripen itself. The tree ripens the fruit. And I thought that was a really lovely metaphor. So the fruit is going to ripen when it ripens. And he says it here. It's the escalation of vibration on this plane is what makes it so. And that escalation of vibration is just the ripening of the fruit, which it does, which is what it does. All right.
I
Go, William.
Suddenly I'm just seeing that, wow, I think I lost it, but separation is just not seeing this moment. Separation is when I get lost in time. That's all it is. I separate that time from this time, from the next time, from the next. I make up all this because I'm so used to using my five senses to converse about the world. And when there's no time, there's no separation. Can't be. Can't be. Oh, I don't have to know what I'm seeing. I just know. So it's kind of like resting in knowing where there is no separation. Wow. So easy when I do it. And then I go back to my five senses, grab a hold of them, and I'm separate again.
So Jean Klein has a great, or maybe it's Francis Lucille, but it's resting in being, not resting in knowing, but resting in being, which is another way of saying what William just said.
And I love the word fragrance.
Yeah, I do too.
Perfume.
I do
something,
too.
Something. Can't grab it.
Yeah.
Pour it.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I would also just as a pointer for myself as well as anyone who's interested in it is just who is the I that is using the five senses?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Because as one of the things Helen said this morning that really struck me is it's just consciousness or presence feeling itself to be a separate person. That's all it is. But it's never a separate person. It's always consciousness. It's always presence. Right? Always that. And only that.
What I find interesting, and I hear the ping every single time the word is used, and it's not saying people shouldn't use it, but I hear it so distinctly is that word just. It's just the body, it's just this, it's just that. When in fact, that just is the reason for the being of being. And I mean, it's just the body, yes, but the being is in the body, and we couldn't have the human experience without that just the body, you know? Or it's just words, but we express in frequency through words. It's not just words. And so it feels like a throwaway. I'm not saying it, it just hit me when you said it this time, Amy, because it's been hitting me and I'm about to go into another session someplace else where it's used all the time. And I walked out last week. But it's just like that throwaway when, to me, if all is of the divine, then even everything we add that just to throw it away is also of the divine.
Right, right. And so the divine isn't in the body, but
No,
the body is in the divine. It is
100%.
so it's so these little teeny little adjustments to the way we perceive.
We call it fine tuning.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Patricia, good morning.
Good morning, all. Good to be here. I hope everyone had a good day yesterday. I was thinking about this, and it's like, how I like to just kind of get to the heart of it and land the plane. It's like when I'm in the now, when I'm present, it's all happening right now. That's all there is. So it's the realization is right now. When I'm out and I'm in the world, I'm in my senses, I'm experiencing my thoughts, etc. Yes, I'm part of it all. God is part of it all. But when I come back to the present moment, that's where it is.
Yeah.
That's what being is, the present moment.
Where else would it be?
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I see Sandra sort of wanted to say something. Do you want to?
Well, I was thinking about what you said about the body is in presence, not the other way around. And if I am in presence, I am completely and totally within the body. It permeates all of my being. It permeates all of it, every cell. And therefore, I'm on that same wavelength as Lonnie that I don't negate, I don't know what the right word is, but I don't negate being the body so much. I fully embrace it as an aspect. I think they even said something like that. That an aspect of us that has no aim and no name, an aspect that's beyond. This is one small aspect of all. And so that's where I was coming from. It's like we're fully human and fully divine. It's not, I no longer feel like, oh, I'm not a body. I'm not only a body, is more where I am. And the body itself is allowing so much beautiful experience, and all of it is divine.
The body doesn't allow anything.
It's a vehicle. It's a vehicle. It's a vehicle.
It
And
allows for the experience of everything that you get to touch and smell and taste. What the mind does with it or all that, but we couldn't have a physical experience without the body.
But who is having the physical experience?
The being.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Always, always presence. Always. The body would be nothing without presence. The body is presence.
yes,
There's never anything but that.
And the body still is, even when the mind is not. Watching my mother walk out dementia taught me that. Because as her mind stopped working, her body and the energy of spirit that was in it was just as strong, just as fragrant, just as active, and actually connected more deeply to love because it was the only thing it could remember.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. Thank you.
yeah. So I think we're probably saying the same thing using different words, and different words have different schemata to us, have different structures. The structures that we have in our brains that are built over time, that filter things. And so I think we're filtering a little differently. That's all. And then using different words to describe that. And that's what I feel is happening. It's that we have this visceral understanding of the truth, and then we still are operating within structures, schemata, whatever you want to call it, that we're gradually letting go of, as the guides tell us, as we're gradually letting go of those as we move higher and higher. But you're right. I mean, being never moves anywhere. It's already there. It's all that is. So,
Yeah.
I just love that phrase. It's not that. I'm not that. It's not that.
Right. Exactly. I do too.
And it's I just that moment of now, but not that
Yeah.
was just.
One more comment. For me, the way I process it is I'm all that is. I'm not, there's nothing that I'm not. And that's the way I process it. I'm all.
And not that either. Yeah.
All right, Cindy says either everything is a miracle or nothing is. Indeed. So I'm going to read the second paragraph, and then Lonnie will read the third. Now, we said its will intentionally, because the small self, armored through historical data, can make a case for anything. It will never be so, could never have been so, and how can God even be? The proof of your experience is about to be claimed in an octave above what most of you have ever known. And like any octave comprised of notes, there are levels of agreement or tonality that are available to you. In the highest tones in the upper room, you have access to knowledge beyond what you can imagine. And even in the lowest tone, which expresses beyond fear, you hold an alignment to what we call Christ consciousness for the benefit of everything you encounter. But as the scale is climbed, you are in a manifest world, still replicating the known through the old ways of identifying and valuing what is before you. Any thoughts about that? May I read the second paragraph? May I go? Now, to align to new values in the case of this teaching is actually to claim an inheritance that was bestowed upon humanity and then chosen by humanity to be ignored. When you said yes to this ascension process, you broke the rule that humanity had said yes to through separation. And in the claims we offer you now, the triumphant new, sung as your being, claiming the inherent divinity in all manifestation, you are reconciled to a new way humanity once knew or experienced that even predates your idea of time. Holy Batman. I love that. So this is where I may take a slightly different tone to the words that Sandra speaks sometimes, which is that in the upper scale, you are entering into a beingness that is beyond our current imagination. And that's why I enjoy the bodily experience, but I'm also really open to knowing myself beyond that It's not enough for me at this point. And who is the me that it's not enough for? I ask myself that a lot. But I do love this teaching that there is something beyond anything we can imagine that we are opening to, and that what it is predates even our idea of time. So that's it for me, and Patricia, and then Lonnie.
Yes, I've been thinking about this. What is the upper room? What is soul? And it's like these are questions that I'm having a ponder about. So I just thought I'd throw that out. I'd love to hear what other people think. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm I'm suddenly hearing Botticelli's
Hallelujah.
yet in his twirling, whatever it was that's going on, that triggered something, that oneness in that moment of new, that yes, just something far beyond I'm used to. And I get lost in it. And that's what I see. It's that I'm in and out, in and out. I'm not that, not that. Oh, and it's I am. Not that, not that. I am. I just, and I just can feel what I never experienced in this body, but somehow.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you. Lonnie.
You
Thank you.
broke the rule that humanity had said yes to through separation. You know that Scooby-Doo look I've been talking about? It's right there. Because we struggled and struggled and struggled with this idea of love. And what did it come to be defined as from the experience we had had versus what the feeling was in the system? And when that invitation was made to just be love, and it started being talked about outwardly to people, and they would give me that Scooby Doo look of, huh? But then as we would talk more, the look would soften, and it would be like a light bulb would come on. And I realized just in this piece right here, they were remembering. It wasn't that they were confused, they were remembering maybe what it felt like. That's what the Scooby Doo look is. It's not a challenge, it's a, oh, you know?
Yeah.
And so I even get to see that differently now because this love that emits, it just comes, it just comes, it just comes. But to be able to see the receiving of it differently is an amazing gift right now. And to have it confirmed here that it's just that they're remembering because they were still in the agreement of separation. They don't know what to do with love when it comes at them from this way and in this intensity. Wow. Y'all killing me today.
I think you're killing it. That's beautiful, Lonnie. Thank you for that. That's beautiful. I love that Scooby-Doo thing. Um, Cindy, what have you got?
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
As Sandra says, I often don't know what I'm going to say. I know that. Okay, stuff. Because Patricia asked the question, and I've spent many, 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 many hours with the guides. I know that the guides define the upper room as a vibratory field that contains no fear. So they define fear as a vibratory tone, very similar to David Hawkins, and that the upper room is a vibratory field that would swallow that fear up like you're turning on a light switch. So they give in this container anyway, they give a very specific definition. They don't talk about soul in the teachings here. So anything I say there comes from other places. I've also heard, or my interpretation of this teaching states that the human collective consciousness, the human consciousness, which is this line, my interpretation of what we're looking at here, the human collective consciousness was born in the idea of separation. Before that was the origin of the human the human collective consciousness, which is just a field, a level of tone. And wherever there is separation, there is also the vibration of fear, and there is a desire or an energy being placed on, there has to be someplace God is not. They teach that, I'm being careful with the words because I've heard them say that they teach that where there is fear, there is separation, there is the denial of the divine. They put those, you can't, if you pull any one of those things out of the equation, the other two collapse. It's like a three-legged stool. They also very clearly teach, and to me this is the same as Eckhart Tolle, that the human collective consciousness has made the decision, like we're at this pivotal, we've been at this pivotal point where the human collective consciousness was either going to dissolve, it's happened before, look at the Aztecs, or it was going to become something other. That's the guide's teaching too. There's something other. The human collective has already made the decision to become something other. They define something other as a consciousness that contains no fear. It's all very logical to my engineering brain. And they teach us how to do that through staying close to these attunements. They also often teach that imagination isn't really useful here because the human collective consciousness, by definition, was born in the belief in separation. And so nowhere within the human collective is there an understanding of what this other is. So one has to get comfortable with this idea of not knowing in order to break this glass ceiling.
Mhm. Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to say, I'm doing my best to stay really close to just my, the purity of this teaching without knowing what any of it means, other than I could tell you that there's a really strong yes here to just practicing it and seeing what happens, the direct experience. In this newest teaching, this is a line from what we listened to on Monday. They state that the requirement for this class, if we are allowed to teach it as we wish, is the reliance upon the new. To me, that means the vibration in the upper room. The reliance upon the new to support you in integrating the manifestation of the divine self that has indeed come as, with, and through you. And the last thing I wish to say relative to my understanding of this teaching is that they are not discounting the body or the human experience or form at all. They are indicating that the divine self is going to get to know the human experience. Like the promise that lights me up and there's chills here is that I get to be Cindy without fear. So, and I could be wrong with everything I say. That this is just my understanding of this teaching right now. Yeah. So a lot of what I've been doing lately is noticing when I am disagreeing, when I feel like I'm disagreeing with somebody else, what somebody else is saying, or when I feel like I have a different opinion. Because one of the things that I'm understanding is in those moments, what I'm doing is I am identifying as a separate self. which is very interesting because the moment I say, oh, look at me identifying as something other than the world I am currently interacting with, as soon as I say that to myself, I feel the contraction, and then I go right into the attunements. I am in God, I am of God, I am with God, I am willing to know myself as the same as what I see, and I'm feeling the shift and change in that. So I said a lot more than I thought I would. There you have it.
Cindy, could I ask you to speak a little more on when you said the collective made a decision? And I keep seeing the word choice and decision through all of this reading.
Yeah, well, I've merged this. Like one of the things that,
How do you work? How does that, work with all the other teachings we've heard?
well, Eckhart Tolle in The Power of Now said that the human collective consciousness was on a precipice, and it was either going to become something other or it was going to be destroyed. I heard I hated that teaching 20 years ago. Like I was like, it scared the living daylights out of me. I didn't understand it. Now what my where I am right now is I admit that I am looking through rose-colored glasses. Thank you. Everything is in one way or another being filtered through this sense of being a separate self. So I can't answer that question other than to state that I trust the teachings that says that there is a human collective. Like I'm going to go back to the impossible things. Like I finally am able to read it now. So the application of impossible things, Natalie is attempting to explain how all these different personalities are known by all these other different personalities without this sense of separation. And things are happening, and decisions are being made, and choices are being made. And I'm looking at it, and somehow I'm trusting it. And right now, Cindy, whatever that means, am not at a vibratory tone that can understand it, so I don't try. But somehow I trust it. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Like, I don't.
that's where I've landed also. I've landed there also. And yet it seems like in this particular experience that when I'm reading the Course in Miracles or reading this book, which I love, and I truly believe that they are just downloads, that Paul isn't putting himself into it. It's the guys. I believe that. And they keep using the word choice over and over again and say yes, and as if there can be a no. And so it
Yeah,
can
but they also say it's not the person's choice.
right. I see that. That's why I have to land with I don't know. I can't figure this out. It's
As
not
long as yeah, as long as I'm feeling separate, I've gotten really comfortable with understanding that whatever I'm about to say is a distortion of the truth.
Hmm. Thank you for answering that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, okay. I'm muting again.
I think William's up next.
Well, I just keep reading something on that. When you said yes to this ascension process, you broke the rule that humanity had said yes to separation. And what is being pointed, the triumphant new, sung is your being. Like I never sang the way Bocelli did, but something is being sung. And then the next paragraph, humanity has not always been in form. Form was taken by humanity as a vehicle for expression. I love that. The ethereal self, the translucent self, and the self that's purely vibration, which you might call soul, predates form. And I love that. And so, what I also see in my little mind, I see this three-dimensional past, present, future, and all of a sudden the vertical. I know I know, and then back and forth. It's back and forth. And if when you said I don't know how I go from one to the other, but I'm just aware that there's form, past, present, future, and then there's no form. Something predates it. And I just love that the experience I have, the awareness is at this level or this level or this level. Upper room, okay, somewhere. I'll get there, baby. There's no I that will get there, but awareness of this vertical versus vertical versus. So just seems to kind of hold me again. Look at me, look at me, look at me. And then suddenly there's no me, no separation. It's just awareness. I love that. And again, I come back to I love that. I love that. I love that. No, there's love is going on.
Thank you, William. Lonnie, you're up next to read, and you're going to read what William just was. So I think it's definitely worth reading again. So will you take it away?
Yeah, is my mic working? You can hear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, humanity has not always been in form. Form was taken by humanity as a vehicle for expression. The ethereal self, the translucent self, and the self that is purely vibration, which you might call soul, predates form. Soul predates form. But the incarnation into form, a passage into density, has been utilized by this species to renegotiate itself and its inheritance, and not always in the highest ways. While we say to you that each of you are party to these choices as much as anyone else, we will also say that the initial claim in these choices, born in trial and fear, predates what you would think of as time, because these choices were made while form itself was still so plastic that things could be made instantaneously. I'm going to read the sentence again. While we say to you that each of you are party to these choices as much as anyone else, we will also say that the initial claim in these choices, born in trial and fear, predates what you would think of as time, because these choices were made while form itself was still so plastic that things could be made instantaneously. When you understand that the elasticity of form is always present, you will also understand that there has been a time when things were thought into being. They were thought into being because humanity was granted every wish. You may think of this as Eden if you want, or the parable of Eden. But in fact, what happened was the requirements for humanity, which were always met in perfect ways, stopped being enough. And humanity said, give me what I want. And in that case, created a separation from the idea of source because they felt it was their right to pick every apple from the tree and let his brother starve or let her sister starve. Wow. I guess what it really comes, what echoes in my system when you understand it, about things instantaneously occurring and elasticity. I guess the way it echoes in my system is, and it brings me back to impeccability of word and how that for individual beings really very much creates their reality. How they choose to see and experience, thus then creates their reality. I don't know if I'm saying that clearly. I'm just stuck in that sentence because that's what's saying that for me. When you understand that the elasticity of form is always present, you will also understand that there has been a time when things are thought into being. They were thought into being because humanity was granted every wish. I'm just really very much stuck in Don Miguel Ruiz Four Agreements and impeccability of word, and the way that our choice of words and use of words and the energy behind them thus kind of dictates and creates what we experience. And I don't know, that just keeps, I can't even get out of that to get more into this because I'm hearing it so loudly.
Thank you. William, I'm going to let Cindy go and then you. Cindy,
Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
okay.
Thanks. It's just there's tears here. Something occurred while Lonnie was reading. You know, I found myself writing about this movie theater, and then the clip we watched was all these different levels. And as I was listening to Lonnie, I saw the human mind attempt to read this as if linear time was real. And 2000 years ago, Eden was real and it's not real now. And then I recognized that all of these teachings, not just the guides, tell us that linear time is part of the illusion. And all of a sudden, there was a recognition that Eden is just another one of these fields. So there's an Eden field and there's a fear field. And, you know, the idea that there's the common field in the upper room is now, there's now like 1,000 fields, you know, or radio stations. And so just this idea that that Eden is just an energetic a field. Am I making any sense? It's just a level like hopping into a different movie, and it's not something that humankind lost 2000 years ago. It's just an energetic vibration.
I'm watching you do this, with the upper room and this and that. And what I get is that these fields exist this way. They exist. So that we're in the common field. And then even as we stand in the common field, we can in fact exist in the upper room within the common field with that
Yeah, that's not the
frequency.
guide's verbiage. The guides will teach that in the upper room, the fear that's in the common field cannot exist.
I'm not
So,
saying that the fear but I'm saying that as we exist in the common field, as we exist out in the world, we walk out in the world, but we truly are walking in the experience of being in the upper room. That it's not it's not as though everything else stops existing once we raise our frequency or vibration. Am I not saying what you're saying?
I'm going to be quiet for a while and let it all integrate and hand things back over to Amy, because I can tell when I go from an insight back into the thinking mind, and I've been pulled back into the thinking mind, and so I'm going to let that rest, if that makes sense.
I can
And
see,
my board just got erased, so I'm going to be quiet too.
I can see Sandra talking, and William wanted to say something. So,
Well, I just see that in that moment of now in the vertical, and then I'm in the form, and then I'm out of the form. It's always at that moment of now in the vertical, and then I see the forms take over. And the apple tree, I love that. It's like I want that apple, that word. Oh, I use that word. I like the taste of that word. And that word then puts me back into the form. It's like that apple tree is in the now and then in the now. It's just I see that back and forth.
thank you. Sandra, did you want to say something? Okay. I'm going to bring this back, if I can, to the Course in Miracles. I love that he says, form itself was still so plastic that things could be made instantaneously. And I want to draw on, Richard and I share this love of dreams. And is it not true that in the dream, form is more plastic? And is it not true in the dream at night that the egoic mind is still there, but not quite so, its grasp isn't quite so powerful? And isn't it true in the dream state that we can speak without using words? And then I want to pull on Lonnie's word impeccability, because even in the dream state, the egoic mind is still there, and the need for impeccability is still present, because we're not aware that we are aware in the dream state, except in lucid dreaming. So, pulling on the Course in Miracles, the image of the carpet rolling out and then rolling back up again, and this is a very human and very temporal, time limited sort of thought, but the imagery is very powerful, I think. And I just want to also say that the mind, the human, we cannot imagine this. And it feels so important to me to keep reminding us that we can't really know what we don't know. But because I think the Course is true, I love the image of everything as oneness, taking a part of itself and rolling itself out in linear time, and then rolling itself back up again. That never really happened, right? The rolling back up has already happened, as Richard reminds us all the time. But as we participate in this apparent rolling back into oneness, this is where the idea of the body being so limiting and so dense, where I am drawn to the body, maybe, but in a less dense form, in a more plastic form, in a more, as we come back and we roll the carpet back up, we may still have the experience of the body, but it will not be the experience of the body that we have now. It will be different. And we can't imagine that, but we are remembering it. We are remembering it, and it will become more plastic. And that's just words that I'm using for something that I can't fully remember. It's just a sense that I have. And each one of us is exploring that together in this beautiful gathering that we have, where we're allowing ourselves to try to use the limited words we have and imagine what we can only imagine together to share this experience, because it's really a joyful experience. So
I wrote a piece one time entitled Remembering the Dismembered.
exactly.
And that's kind of what you're talking about.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Thank you.
Amy, I want to add to what you said. Yes, I'll say yes to everything you said. And we do know what it's like, because we are all in some way already experiencing the new.
Yes.
Right here, right now.
Yes.
So we do know, even we don't have to try to imagine it. We can just be it and know that, I was going to say even tomorrow will be different, but maybe the next hour, who knows? But we are all ready.
We are already it, but I would imagine that none of us is going to take a step off the curb into an oncoming bus.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean, even in this reality, just walking outside and experiencing nature differently than I did before. I know there was a time when I did not.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying.
It's almost as though an invitation is needed for some, or permission for some to step into it, because, it's so easy to drink the Kool-Aid and swallow what you're not supposed to be or do. And so it's almost like helping people remember or giving them the invitation that it's there to step into.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you.
Richard has his hand.
I see that. Richard, you are up.
One great conversation. I love this part of the book, and I think a couple of things came to mind. One is the decision that humanity made. I don't think there's an entity that makes the decision. There's a vibrational force that determines what will manifest and how it will manifest. So humanity as a collective has a frequency is manifesting as one. And that determines what will manifest within the dream. So, and the other thing I wanted to say was that's why I love what's his name, Sundberg, Christian Sundberg.
Yes.
And he chose to come into the physical being experience because he wanted to enhance his ability to radiate the love that he is in truth as a not physical being. Now, we can call that the soul or we can call it something else, but what he indicated to me was there were other levels of experience in the dream that were happening at the same moment. And we're now we're all sitting here as physical beings expressing what we think we know about nothing we know about. And we're all loving it because it's so much fun to do that. But at the same time, we're light beings. At the same time, we're translucent beings. At the same time, we're ethereal beings. We're all that right now in this instant and in this moment. But our experience, because we chose it, is right now we're experiencing dense bodies like we have currently. And we're vibrating at all those frequencies all the time. And when we open our minds up and we trust in the process, we begin to experience these higher levels of frequency. That's why I put it all together so I don't beat my head against the wall because I don't know anything, which I don't know anything.
Thank you, Richard. Oh, that's a good one. Well, let's go into the next paragraph because I think he describes a little bit more, and Patricia's up to read if she's willing.
The parable of the tree. Is that right? Is that where
Yep.
we are?
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me. The parable of the tree and the serpent are useful to understand. There is nothing wrong with knowledge, true knowledge, the knowledge of all things. But the claim of light and dark, or God in separation, have claimed you in a very different parable, which is the chaos that you now perceive yourselves in. When manifestation occurred, or the idea of separation was formed, and density of matter in its own collective way began to claim itself as it had been claimed by humanity. In other words, the one who operates in density claims a dense world into being.
Do you want to read the next
Well, I
paragraph?
was just going to ask you, yeah. No, please don't think this makes you wrong. Imagine you learned a language in school, became fluent in it. That is the language that's now spoken in your household. And it has become the norm. The language of separation in density became the common tongue. Everything is indeed spoken into being, and thought is the catalyst for the most manifestation. But there are other causes born through collective need. You believe that a prayer from the heart may be met by grace with very good reason. The echo of the heart claims itself through the manifest density to the highest octave. And prayer has long been the primary vehicle for intercession. Not because the prayer is necessary, but because the act of prayer itself moves you to reconciliation. The denial of the divine would claim you without prayer. Okay.
Wow. That was,
That was good.
yeah, that was good.
I'm prompted to share a few years ago, I attended a weekend conference, virtual conference, by the Association for Research and Enlightenment, the Edgar Cayce Foundation. And one of the speakers talked about an ancient civilization called the Anunnaki. And they came to this planet, and humanity was a single source at that point. There was no gender. When we procreated babies, we did it mentally. Any individual could make a baby by thought. There was no need for intercourse between a male and a female to make a baby. So it was all done by thought. They decided we're going to change the humanity into male and female so they can experience procreation dependent on each other. And so of all the talks I listened to that week, this is the one that caught my attention. So thought and vibration make manifestation. So theoretically, then, if that is true, we can manifest anything into the physical form that we wish to by using vibration technology. And when Christian Thunberg talked about why he came into this dense experience of being a body, he cited because he did it because he met a spirit that was so loving and so compassionate and gave up such wonderful light and love. He wanted to know how we could be like that. And he was told, go back into the physical. Because if you can learn, my understanding, if you can learn everything that is in the physical, it's so much easier to love everything as much as you can in the non-physical. But you're still a separate self, but you're not a physical. You're not experiencing only the body. That's why I love the idea that our experience in the body is a classroom. We're learning how to be more loving, more compassionate, on all levels of our existence, regardless of whether it's physical or not physical. We're raising our frequency so we can be a collective experience for all, physical or not physical, different levels. Eventually, I believe we turn into light, where our light, we're still separate, but we're a light beings. And we're just going to moment to moment. And we're doing that right now. But we're focused on this existence in order to grow and become more life, more loving, more compassionate. So we're expanding our consciousness as a way of evolution. And we're adjusting our minds to the idea that there's a non-physical being that is not contained and not limited. It's still infinite, but and still separate from source. But so I haven't yet to experience that. But I'm enjoying this experience, having this understanding for me to walk this walk with love and joy and peace.
Mm. Thank you. There's something in here that reminded me of Sandra, and it was the second. Thank you, Richard, for that. That was well put. I want to say that, just acknowledge that. The second line that says there's nothing wrong with knowledge, and then true knowledge, comma, knowledge of all things. So as we experience the body and we go outside and open the door and step out into the sunlight, both as knowing ourselves as the body and also as the light. I don't know why that reminds me of Sandra. That's the opportunity to see everything as the one, all experiences as the one. And I really appreciate, Richard, your words that you have to love everything, because that actually does expand our being and our light. Even the parts that we would call bad or difficult. I really appreciate that. And we've been asked if we could start with the paragraph, "Now, please don't think this makes you wrong," on, gosh, it'll be January 2nd, 2026 in the linear time world. And I think that would be great to start right there. What a discussion. This has been really good today. Great way to start the new year. You're welcome, Rana. Thank you.
Love us very much. I'm gonna turn the recording off.